gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Would have been hungry, so should have had food on it. You know, he made it. He made the fig tree. He made it. I mean, I think so. I think that's where you go at, really. I think it's a fig tree. Yes. And I mean,
You are a disobedient fig tree.
Yeah. Yeah. I curse you.
Oh yeah, we are marching. Marching, we are marching. Oh, we are marching.
have had arcade? A breakfast?
We have not. There was a bowl full of Aki when we got there, but we haven't had any of that yet.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
But have you been satisfied with the food? And
I have. Have you been satisfied?
Yes, sí. Mucho.
James was trying to get Venezuela to fix the cake last night. See how the rain started falling pretty hard last night.
Yes, that's what
And James says, well, since you're still here, we'll fix some cake for us. He was just trying to.
Trying is the operative word.
She said, I think it's somewhere. I think it might be somewhere on the menu.
Yes.
No, but she's been fixing.
Who's the best pastor in Roehampton? Me? Oh! No, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Who's the best pastor that's going to live here? Oh yeah, what's his name? Pastor Richards, right? James, you're funny. What's the best thing about Jamaica? You don't know?
Climate, man.
All right, brother. Thank you for your time today.
How are you?
Hi, sir.
Bless you, bless you. do, the better off
Yes,
they'll be.
yes, yes.
And they'll start to
That's right. That's right.
line up, especially with boys.
Yes, yes.
My girl can sit down and draw and
Yes.
anything. And she's 15. She
Yes.
can do anything. She can just sit down and do that, and she'd be comfortable. She'd be okay. You know?
Yes, yes. Boys need something to occupy their mind.
They do.
Yes.
Or their mind gets occupied with the wrong thing.
That's right. Some of them is hyperactive.
Yeah.
You see?
My boys.
I tell you, we had a same place we had showing last night when I said to when I said, God, take away this life. The same place that was the same time as well. It was in the day. I made some windmill and kites. You know kites? And windmill. We call it breeze mill. And would you believe it? And gigs as well. You call it spin top.
Right.
And I gave it to them, you know, when I opened the trunk, the boot of the car, and every one of them, they saw this and they were so excited.
Right.
Yes, so I said, this is something which I would like to do, you know, to help them.
Here represents the streets in heaven. The Bible says that in heaven the streets are made out of pure gold and the gates are made out of pearl. Can you imagine that? This little boy asked me one time, says, well, how big is the oyster? And I said, no.
Exactly.
I said, well, the Lord didn't have to have an oyster to make a pearl as big as a gate. But talking about the sins, we are born with a sinful nature. You don't have to tell one child to bite or hit another one. I used to fight my brother. Nobody told me to. I just enjoyed it. But that was sin, see, until Jesus spoke to my heart. But that sin separated me from God. So how can we, if we're born with a sinful nature, how can we reach a holy God? There was only one way. Through Jesus Christ. God still loved us even though we had sinned. It started in the garden with Adam and Eve. Loved us so much, He sent His only Son down here. He came in flesh and dwelt among the people. He went about healing sick people, feeding the hungry. He even raised people from the dead. He made the blind to see. He's healed my blind eye in my life. He's healed me of cancer in my life. He's still working. We just can't see Him.
But this Bartimaeus was an interesting man. You know, this Bartimaeus was willing to hear, and his first act of faith is this. Now listen, he said this, he listened, right? He heard. He heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth. And he started to do something else. He started to do this. Some people hear, but they don't do anything. You know, I mean, it has been heard that there's people in the community that need help sometimes. And you might hear about it, but you say nothing about it. You know, there might be somebody that's hurting in the community, but nobody's there to say anything about it. There might be somebody that's hurting. And maybe is heard, and we heard about that, but we're not willing to call out. But this Bartimaeus did something else. He started to call out. Yes. You know, this is another act of faith. He began to cry. You know,
I love Him too. So they took a whip and they beat Jesus unmercifully. They made Him carry His own cross. They nailed Him to the cross. They put a crown of thorns on His head. They mocked Him. I can imagine. I remember this little girl getting a thorn in my foot. Oh man, they hurt. Can you imagine a crown of thorns on your head? They plucked His beard, spit in His face. They nailed Him to the cross. They took a sword and pierced His side. And the Bible says His blood and water spilled out on the ground for you and I. When He was on the cross, we were on His mind. He was hanging between two thieves. And one of the thieves said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your paradise. And he was saved. He believed. Jesus, He says, you can do this to me. They made fun of Him, calling Him the king. But He says, I'll be back in 3 days. So in 3 days, Mary, and she just ran, and she was just about to hug. I can just see her just even trying to hug him, you know, and fall at his feet and hug around the legs. And I can just see her before Jesus, so excited. He said, Mary, don't touch me. Mary, don't touch me. Go tell the disciples. They were in a locked room, scared to death.